All right. Hello, everyone. So today we're going to talk about solving systems of equations by elimination. So we've already had some notes on this, but sometimes we have special equations that need an extra step, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's start with one. There we go. Let's start with 16x minus 10y equals 10. And negative 8x minus 6y equals 6. Okay, so usually with our elimination problems, we'll start out with equal but opposite numbers for our variables. But here we don't have that. Like usually we'll have like an 8 and an 8 or a 10 and a 10. But we don't have that here. All of these are different. So to change that, we're going to need to multiply one of these to fix it. So let's go through our flowchart and see what we can do. We're going to go through all the steps just to make sure that we got them all down. All right, so step number 1, look at the equations. Are they both in standard form? So do we have an x, a y, and a constant or a number? Yes, we do. So let's highlight that arrow, follow it down to our step 2. All right, look at the equations. Are there any equal and opposite variables? So like I was saying before, do we have like a 3x and a negative 3x? Do we have that here? No, both of these are different from each other. So we do not have that. So let's go down to the no's. This is a no. All right, that'll take us to our next box. Multiply the equations. Multiply one or both equations by a non-zero number to create a pair of equal and opposite variables. So, like I said before, we're going to fix this. We are going to change either the top or the bottom to make it fit what we need. So we're going to take a look at our variables. So we have 16 and negative 8 and negative 10 and negative 6. Remember, your goal is to have two that are the same number, but with opposite signs. I'm looking at this, and I think it would be easier to change our x's, because I could just multiply 8 by 2, and I would get a negative 16. So we are going to take that bottom equation, maybe. There we go. We're going to take the bottom equation, and we're going to write that in this box right here. So we had negative 8x minus 6y equals 6. Okay, cool. So to change that into what we want, we said we were going to multiply it by 2. We're going to multiply this entire equation by 2, though. So we want 2 times negative 8. That's going to be negative 16x. 2 times our negative 6. That'll be negative 12y. And 2 times 6, so that's just 12. Okay, so we have a new equation now. This is our new bottom equation. So that'll take us over to step 3. Step 3 says, add together the two equations to make a single equation with one variable. Okay, so that's adding our two lines together. So let's take our first line. That was 16x minus 10y equals 10. But now instead of this line, we want the one that we just changed. That's this. So we're going to put that at the bottom here. So that was a negative 16x minus 12y equals 12. Cool. All right, now we're going to add these together, because when we do that, our 16x and negative 16x will cancel out to give us a 0. All right, now we got the rest of this. So we have negative 10 minus 12, or a negative 10 plus a negative 12. That will be a negative 22y. And then we have our 10 plus 12. Well, that's just a positive 22. And we're good with that step. That's going to take us down to step number 4. All right. Step number 4. Solve the equation from step 3. Okay, so I'm just going to take this equation and solve it right over here because we want to get y. So we have negative 22y equals 22. Okay, I want y by itself, so I'm going to divide by negative 22. So y equals 22 divided by negative 22. That's a negative 1. Awesome. That's going to take us to our last step, which is step 5. And that says substitute the value for the variable you just solved into one of the equations. And then solve it. Okay, so we are going to need to choose one of these to plug our y into. Just like we did with substitution, this was also our last step. I'm going to choose this top one because it looks easier. It doesn't have as many negatives. It doesn't matter which one you choose, just as long as you solve it with the correct letter. So I'm going to rewrite this. 16x minus 10y equals 10. But I already know that y is negative 1. So I'm going to turn this negative 1 and put it into our y. So I got 16x minus 10. Instead of y, we have a negative 1 equals 10. And then we just solve it from there. So we got 16x. We have negative 10 times negative 1. That's positive 10. Let me do that. We have a minus 10 minus 10. I'm running out of space. So we got 16x equals 10 minus 10, that's 0. Okay, then we would divide that by 16. So we have x equals 0. Kind of skipped one step there. That's just because I ran out of space. But we've done solving so many times before. Hopefully we are there and understand how that worked. Okay. Last thing we have is going to be the solution. So the solution that's going to be our x and our y value. Our x was 0, our y was negative 1, so we got 0, negative 1. And that's it. So the only difference between this and what we've done before is going to be this multiplication step right here. Now, keep in mind, you only need to do this if you don't have any equal and opposite x and y values up here. If you already do have that, you could just skip right to this step. If you don't, though, we're going to have to do this. And that's what we're mainly looking at today. Okay, so let's do another one. Let's go over here. All right, so let's do 5x plus y equals 9. And 10x minus 7y equals negative 18. Okay. Going through these steps again. Step number 1. Are they both in standard form? We have an x, a y, and a number. Yes, we are good there. So we're going to go to the yes arrow. Following that down to step 2. Step 2. Look at the equations. Are there any equal and opposite variables? So, are these the same? No. Are these the same? No. So that answer is going to be a no. Okay. Takes us down to our next step, which is multiply the equations. So we're going to multiply one of our rows by a non-zero number so that we get equal and opposite variables. So let's take a look at this. You are going to want to go for the one that looks the easiest to change. So we have a 5 and a 10 and a y and a negative 7. Remember, there's an invisible 1 there. So I think that the x's will be easiest to change here. We have a 5 and a 10. Well, I know that I could just multiply the 5 by 2, and that'll get me to a 10. But I also want them to have the opposite sign. So I'm going to multiply this by a negative 2 so that I get the right signs, and then they will cancel each other out. Because that's your goal, is to cancel something out. So I'm going to take that top equation, and I'm going to write it in our box right down here. So then we can do our thing. So that was 5x plus y equals 9. All right, and we said that we wanted to multiply that by a negative 2. Okay, so let's do that. We got negative 2 times 5. That's going to be a negative 10x. Negative 2 times y, that's negative 2y. And then we have negative 2 times 9. That'll be a negative 18. All right, that is our new top equation. Great. That's going to take us to step 3. Step 3 is add them together. So this is our new top equation, so that's going to go on top. That was negative 10x minus 2y equals negative 18. All right, and then we need our bottom equation. And that was this guy right here. That's going to go right down there. So we have 10x minus 7y equals negative 18. Awesome. All right. Now from here, we're just going to add these two together, just like it says in the box. So we have a negative 10x plus 10x. That's what we wanted. A 0. That's going to cancel out. Awesome. Then we have a negative 2 plus a negative 7. That's going to be a negative 9y. And then we have a negative 18 plus a negative 18. That will be a negative 36. Okay. So that is going to take us to our next step. That's step 4. Step 4 says solve the equation from step 3. So that's this guy. We're just going to solve that right in here, so we could find our y. All right, so to get y by itself, we're going to divide by a negative 9. So then we have y equals negative 36 divided by a negative 9. That'll be 4. Cool. All right, that's going to take us to step 5, our last step, and that's going to be our substituting part. So we need to choose our top or our bottom to use here. I think I'm going to use the bottom. There's one less negative in there, so that seems easier. Remember, it doesn't matter which one you use. You're still going to get the same number. It's just that one might be easier than the other. So I'm going to take that bottom equation, like I said. And now we know that, y is equal to 4, so that's what's going to go in for our y. So we got 10x minus 7. Instead of y, we have 4. And then from there, we're going to solve. So I'm going to do this first. We got negative 7 times 4. That will be a negative 28. And then we just start solving. So we got a negative 28. So I'm going to add that to both sides. So we'll get 10x equals 10. Divide by 10. We get x equals 1. Cool. So that just leaves our solution. Remember, that's going to be your x and then your y. Our x was 1. Our y was 4. So we have 1 and 4. Cool beans. All right, so in class, I left this one to you. This is our last one. That was 8x plus 14y. Ooh, that does not look like a 14. There we go. 14y equals 4. Negative 6x minus 7y equals negative 10. And like I said, I just had you solve this. So that's what I'm still going to have you do. You do this process. I'm going to let you know that the answer should be 4 comma negative 2. So that's your x and that's your y. That's what you should get. So try this out on your own. See what you get. Should be the same answer as that, though. All right, that is all I have for you today. Let me know if you have questions, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.